Hi, we're going to make a vegetable lasagna today, and it's a sort of two-step process, and I'm going to sort of talk you through it. It's really straightforward. This is a really healthy recipe, and it gets lots and lots of vegetables inside you. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chop up our vegetables, and we're going to get them cooking. So we're going to chop up some onion. We want to chop it up quite small. Okay, so be really careful with your hands. Yeah. In our pepper and our courgette. We're going to get our onion in there. We're going to crush 2 cloves of garlic. Now if you haven't got a garlic crusher, then you can just crush them with between 2 spoons, or you can chop it really finely with a knife. Okay, I'm going to put the other bit in there as well. So we get our garlic in as well. Now when we do the carrots, now you can grate the carrot into there if you want, or cut it really finely. So I'm going to chop up my carrot and put it in there. But if you want to grate your carrot, just so in go our chopped carrots. Okay, we're then going to chop some celery. So we want to cut it down the middle and nice and small. Chop our celery. With our courgette, now courgettes are really easy to chop. We're going to chop our courgette into quite small pieces. So what we don't want is big lumps of courgette. So we'll slice it down. Okay, I'm going to chop that one up as well. We're going to get our courgette in. Now if you haven't got a courgette, you don't have to use courgette. I've got some courgettes today. They're really expensive. There's a bit of a shortage of courgettes. So you could replace it with another vegetable if you wanted to. Or you could put some spinach in here, or you can green, red, yellow pepper, don't make any difference. Okay, if you can't get any pepper again, you can replace it with another vegetable. So we want to cut this up really nice and tiny. And what we're trying to do, okay, so we've got all our vegetables in. Then what we're going to do is we're going to cook that down with a bit of oil in it, 2 tablespoons of oil. So I'm just going to use, you can use olive oil, I'm just going to use a bit of oil, I'm going to use a bit of vegetable oil. I'm using my spatula, I'm going to get this on. And what we want to try and do is soften the vegetables, but we're also going to cook the courgette a little bit, because what we don't want to do is when we add all the tomato sauce and everything like that, we don't want the courgette to go all soft. Okay, so we're going to cook this for 5 minutes. Okay, so we've cooked these through for about 5 minutes, and what it's starting to do is soften up all the vegetables. They look and smell really delicious. Okay, so what we're going to do to that next is we're going to add a stock cube. There's a veggie stock cube, and all I've done is I've crushed it up. We're then going to add a teaspoon of mixed herbs or basil. So I'm going to add, this is a half a teaspoon, so I'm going to add 2 of these. Now if you're not into your herbs, then you don't need to add the herbs, you can just add a little bit of salt and pepper as well. We get all those mixed in. That's going to give it a really nice sort of Italian smell. So we add that to it. Then we're going to add some Worcester sauce. Okay, so we're going to add a teaspoon of Worcester sauce. And then stir all that in. Okay, and then we're going to add a tin of chopped tomatoes. Then what we're going to need to do then is we're going to need to add probably about half to 3/4 of a tin of cold water. Okay. And then we're going to turn up the heat. If you've got any tomato puree, you can put some tomato puree in here as well. So we're going to get that really boiling. We want that water to boil. Pump it up a little bit more. Okay, now when it's boiled, what we're going to do is we're going to add 100 grams of lentils. We're going to add red lentils. So with red lentils, what you have to do is you've just got to rinse them before you put them into your cooking. Okay, so our lentils are nice and rinsed. Okay, so we've got this up. So we're just going to get it a little bit hotter. And then once it's boiling, what we're going to do is we're going to add the rinsed lentils into it, and then we're going to turn it right down and we're going to simmer it for about 15 minutes. Might take a little bit longer. And then that's our sauce already. Not our sauce, that's our main part of our lasagna already. Okay, so we've been simmering our the tomatoey sauce part for about 15 minutes. Okay, so it's on the hob. Now what we're going to do is we're going to make our sauce that's going to go on top of the pasta. Okay, so in order to do this, I'm going to turn my heat on. I don't want it too hot. It's very noisy, the machine, this. Okay, so we're going to put in 50 grams of butter. And what we're going to do is we're going to melt that butter, and then we're going to add 50 grams of flour. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to slowly melt the butter in the pan. Okay, now this is the bit where you've got to be, this might take a little bit of practice. And what we're going to do, we're trying to make a very simple roux sauce. Okay, so we get our butter in there, we melt our butter, then we're going to add our flour to it. We're going to add 50 grams of flour, and we're going to stir it in really quickly, then we're going to turn the heat off. So I'm going to turn this right down. And so our butter's melted. Okay, we're then going to add our flour into our butter, and then we're going to quickly stir it round. Okay, when it starts to bind, what we're going to do, I'm going to take it off the heat. Now if you're on a gas hob, you can just turn off the gas, and it kind of goes together like kind of gooey biscuit dough. Okay, get all that mixed in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add about 500 mils of milk. Okay, maybe a little dribble more. And then with my spoon, I'm just going to mix in that. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to start whisking this in, and I'm going to put it on a very low heat. So I'll mix it all in. Because what we want it to be is a really nice smooth sauce. Okay, and it should start to thicken up. So whisk it. This is going to make a really, really lovely white sauce. Now you've got a choice really. What you could do is you can add your cheese to it. You can add your grated cheese to it to make a cheesy sauce, or you can add your grated cheese on the top of your lasagna. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep whisking this in. So we want it all to be mixed together. I'm going to add my cheese to the sauce. Okay, so what we start to do, we're mixing it in. Okay, now this sauce has started to thicken. Okay, so I've started to heat through it. It's started to thicken. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my grated cheese into this sauce. Okay, so I've got 100 grams of cheese. I'm going to add that into here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep stirring it. I'm going to get that cheese in the sauce. Okay, quite smooth. If it's a bit thick, and you might need to add just a little bit more milk. Okay, so we've got our sauce made. We've been simmered our main part. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to start to make up our lasagna. So what we're going to do is we're going to spoon some of the mixture onto the base. This is an oven-proof dish. I've got my oven on at 170 degrees. So we spoon some of the mixture in. If we want to make a layer, we can pat it down. Okay, so put it in here. Just plain pasta sheets. We're going to put some pasta sheets on the top. If there's any little gaps, you can just break them. And then, because we want to totally cover that, I'm going to try and break this one in half. Oh! And failed miserably. So we then put up there, and then we're going to put a little bit of cheese sauce, I think it's always good, on top of this. Okay, just splodge him around. Okay, it's going to make it really delicious. Okay, that's the first layer. And then what you're going to do is you're going to keep building up more layers. So they're going to put another layer on top of that. Being careful that we keep that cheese sauce. You might want to keep giving your cheese sauce a little stir. That's looking good. So we put another one on over here. I'll try and do this better. Perfect. Okay, and then with our remaining cheese. Now if you didn't put any cheese in your sauce, you can sprinkle cheese on the top. What we're going to do is we're going to completely cover our pasta with our lovely sauce. Make sure we get all the sauce out of the pan. And this is going to be really, really lovely, bubbly cheese sauce. I'm going to put that in our oven. Now the oven's about 170 degrees, and that's going to take about, I'd say about 40 minutes to cook. Okay, and what we want is this top to be all lovely and brown, and it all to be bubbly and lovely and hot. So we're going to put that in an oven at 170 degrees. Okay, so it's been in the oven for about 40 minutes. So we take it out, be careful, it's going to be really, really hot. And what you want is your pasta to be really, so when you chop it with a knife, it should just go right through it. Oh, look at that, perfect.